Get the new concealable NIJ Level 3A certified Kevlar armor bundle from Fortress Survival, LLC. Ultimate protection for the ultimate prepper. 100% made in America. Lightweight, weighing only 5 pounds. Cool mesh interior, 6-month carrier warranty, 5-year ballistic warranty, 100% Kevlar 12x14 ballistic panels. Provide maximum coverage for maximum protection. One size fits all. The most affordable Level 3A American-made Kevlar set on the market. Order today at Fortress Survival, LLC. High quality performance, hard hitting. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green, and you're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. Today's date is Thursday, October 29, 2015. And Vladimir Putin is set to cut undersea cables in the ocean and potentially shut down the entire grid, taking the internet to a halt so no American can tune into TMZ or Kim Kardashian's big fat ass. That's really the storyline being portrayed and propelled by the bullshit mainstream media right now. That's the narrative, that Vladimir Putin is going to cut undersea cables and bring down the entire grid. It'll be an underwater EMP, according to the bullshit mainstream media boob tube, which we continue to have a problem with here in America and around the world. Now, of course, this is just bullshit. This is being used to justify Obama's new wars in the Middle East, his new war in Syria, his arming of terrorists, and now sending boots on the ground, which, by the way, the mainstream media is now admitting we're already there. None of this is new. The special ops, what he calls special forces on the ground in Iraq and Syria, isn't new. They've already been there. The fact that he basically just outright lied to the American people that he withdrew troops, remember he made all these statements publicly, it was also his campaign promise, was actually a total falsehood, was total bullshit. More troops have been sent. More boots on the ground, according to advisors this week, arming the terrorist insurgents in places like Libya to take out leaders like Muammar Gaddafi, in places like Syria to attempt a coup on the rightful sovereign government of Bashar al-Assad. Because you see, Assad is friends with the new Hitler, the new boogeyman, the new, I'm surprised they haven't pitched him as the new head of ISIS, Vladimir Putin of Russia. And now we have fighter jets buzzing, Russian fighter jets buzzing U.S. warships. We have, I saw in the Drudge Report, 4,000 U.S. soldiers sent to the Russian border. I didn't read the story, I just saw the headline. We see all of this wartime rhetoric for a reason, because the United States is preparing for war. You know, it's almost like Where's Waldo? Like Putin's Where's Waldo? He's in his underwater submarine in the water. He's going to cut with his giant scissors the undersea cables to cut the dumb shit Big Mac eating Americans their internet. I mean, what would America do without the internet? Without all of our handheld devices in front of our faces every 5 seconds? What would we do if we couldn't jerk off to Kim Kardashian's big fat ass? Or read about how Lamar Odom was knee-deep in about 15 hookers in Las Vegas snorting coke before he had like 15 mini-strokes. What would we do without our American football and our lamestream mainstream media that was on full display last night with the tertiary GOP debate in Boulder, Colorado, courtesy of CNBC.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Restore that shining city on a hill.
Sun's coming up in America again.
For amber waves of gray.
We are facing an economic transformation.
Most American workers have been punched in the gut.
Which basically just portrayed and showed the liberal bias that makes up the mainstream media. The moderators, all of them too insignificant to really mention them by name, although I think it was, Harwood, the guy with the gray hair, really just made himself look like a freaking liberal biased asshole with some of the questions he was asking Donald Trump. Like, are you a cartoon character, Donald Trump? Are you going to build a cartoon wall in Mexico?
Mr. Trump, yes. You've done very well in this campaign so far by promising to build a wall and make another country pay for it.
Right.
Send 11 million people out of the country. Cut taxes $10 trillion without increasing the deficit.
Right.
And make Americans better off because your greatness would replace the stupidity and incompetence of others.
That's right.
Let's be honest. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign?
It's not a comic book. And it's not a very nicely asked question, the way you say that. Larry Kudlow, as an example, who I have a lot of respect for, loves my tax plan. We're reducing taxes to 15%. We're bringing corporate taxes down, bringing money back in, corporate inversions. We have $2.5 trillion outside of the United States, which we want to bring back in. As far as the wall is concerned, we're going to build a wall. We're going to create a border. We're going to let people in, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come in legally. And it's something that can be done. And I get questioned about that. They built the Great Wall of China. That's 13,000 miles. Here we actually need 1,000 because we have natural barriers. So we need 1,000. We can do a wall. We're going to have a big, fat, beautiful door right in the middle of the wall. We're going to have people come in, but they're coming in legally. And Mexico's going to pay for the wall because Mexico, I love the Mexican people. I respect the Mexican leaders, but the leaders are much sharper, smarter, and more cunning than our leaders. And just to finish, people say, oh, how are you going to get Mexico to pay? A politician, other than the people on this stage, I don't want to insult, a politician cannot get them to pay. I can. We lose. We have a trade imbalance with
Mr.
Mexico.
Trump, hold on a second.
John, of $50 billion.
We're at 60 seconds. We're at 60
Believe me,
seconds.
the wall is peanuts by comparison.
We're at 60.
I mean, how dare Donald Trump try to enforce our borders in this country? How dare him? What a lunatic. Questioning people like Ben Carson whether or not he could do his math right because he used an analogy of 10% tithing as a part of his tax plan.
I didn't say that the rate would be 10%. I used the tithing analogy.
I understand that, but if you look at the numbers, you probably have to get to 28%.
The rate is going to be much closer to 15%.
15% still leaves you with a $1.1 trillion hole.
You also have to get rid of all the deductions and all the loopholes. You also have to do some strategic cutting in several places. Remember, we have 645 federal agencies and sub-agencies. Anybody who tells me that we need every penny in every one of those is in a fantasy world. So also, we can stimulate the economy. That's going to be the real growth engine, stimulating the economy because it's tethered down right now with so many regulations.
You'd have to cut government by about 40% to make it work with a $1.1 trillion hole.
It's not true. And
it is true. I looked at the numbers.
When we put all of the facts down, you'll be able to see that it's not true. It works out very well.
And then you had piece of driftwood Jeb Bush there trying to get in on the action, you know, the third Bush trying to show his prowess. He says he still thinks America's the greatest country in the world, even though it's gone in the shitter because of people like his brother and his father.
I believe this is still the most extraordinary country on the face of the earth. And it troubles me that people are rewarded for tearing down our country. It's never been that way in American politics before. I can't do it. I just don't believe that this country's days are going to be deeply, going down. I think we're on the verge of the greatest time, and I want to fix the things to let people rise up.
Even though it's a big friggin' dump here in the United States, yeah, it's good for him. It's good for him and his multi-billion-dollar friends. I'm sure they're doing well. But the rest of America's just getting our ass kicked. We're going down the tubes because it's all an inverted Ponzi scheme, just like Social Security, just like Medicare, all of it totally and completely insolvent. And the GOP candidates are right. America has lied to you. They've taken your taxes and spent it in other areas so that Social Security in less than 7 years will be completely bankrupt. It means all of you out there right now paying your taxes, giving the dole out to the U.S. government won't get shit back in return. But the great part about it is, folks, is you're funding the new war. You're funding America dropping bombs on schools, which was covered up in the mainstream media about a week ago. No one really wanted to talk about it. Again, the GOP debate, the moderator, CNBC, only emphasizes what's wrong with America today. What's wrong with the liberal biased mainstream media? What's wrong with just, a handful of multi-billion-dollar companies basically controlling the most powerful entity on the planet, the media. Whether or not it's CNN or CNBC or MSNBC or Fox News. They're the most powerful entity on the planet. I would argue far more powerful than the president, the U.S. government. I would argue more powerful than the U.S. military. That's how powerful the brainwashing is, the conditioning is, the propaganda is. It's why they want you to keep the boob tube on, folks. Again, since your child right in front of that screen the moment they're born, so they can be impregnated with that semen that makes up the commercialization of our society today. You're never good enough. You need a faster car. You need to take out another loan, whether or not it's a student loan or a housing loan, or it's any other kind of debt, credit card debt. Build up that debt, just like America has done. Build it up sky high, folks. We'll never have to address it. That's right. It's just a Ponzi scheme that's going to last forever. That's right. Lollipops and gumdrops is what they expect us to believe. Yet it's the little guy, it's you and me that suffer the consequences of all these erroneous policies, of all this falsehood, of all this scam, of all this Ponzi scheme worse than Bernie Madoff. It's you and I that suffer the collapse in 2008 and 2009 and get our ass kicked while these politicians get served bailouts. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? The politicians get served trillion-dollar bailouts while you and I rot? Yeah, that's America today. That's the America Jeb Bush is really pleased with.
I believe this is still the most extraordinary country on the face of the earth.
He still thinks it's the greatest country on the planet. Yeah, that's right. The dipshit third Bush running on his daddy's and brother's image. That guy. Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy to me. You know, it's why there needs to be monumental change in the media today. It's why you need to support us here at AMTV. Subscribe to us right now on demand for $4.95 a month, $49.95 a year. Get all of our content completely ad and commercial free. Get exclusive content we're not releasing to YouTube. Get every single video before it hits YouTube. You know, again, these multi-billion-dollar corporations like Google, now the parent company Alphabet, basically controlling the world. You know, you want to change things? You want to change this liberal media, lamestream, bias shit show? You want something different? We need your help. You need to help us grow. You need to donate today. Support our cause. Become a subscriber. Help us build out our studio. Help me launch new shows. Help me get in front of these dirty politicians and lamestream media pundits. Help us transform the world. Help yourself become more powerful. You know, it's amazing to me that we don't have more Americans rallying behind this. We don't have more Americans demanding real change. We don't have more Americans standing up to this propaganda machine that makes up the mainstream media today. It's changing the way our children think, feel about themselves. It affects everything from their self-confidence, their view of the world. You know, the whole purpose of the mainstream media, the whole purpose of government control and power is to indoctrinate the masses to support the elites, to support the system that is now bankrupt, to support the system that is now an inverted pyramid. Why Social Security and Medicare and all of these things are insolvent and bankrupt, just like Rand Paul was citing at the GOP debate last night. These are all monumental issues that need to be addressed in America. And at the same time, the mainstream media is building up this war rhetoric and this fervor of war, portraying Putin as some kind of Where's Waldo about to cut undersea cables in the ocean somewhere. I mean, the outright lies are just insane. It's outlandish. It's comical. It's hilarious. And these idiots that call themselves mainstream media moderators. So do you want real change? You want to change things for the better? Do you want to have a greater influence on the media, what's being cemented in our children's head? You want to help shape this country? You want to help make things better for the future going forward? You want to hold these criminal scumbags in Washington, D.C., these politicians owned by corporate America, these Wall Street scam artists and Ponzi schemers, you want to change all that, you want to hold those people accountable, then support us. Support AMTV. Support the Underground. Subscribe today on demand. I'm Christopher Green. Get this video out everywhere, make it viral, hard hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor.